Salam, peace be upon you. I am Muhammad Layak Sadiqi, the father of Holophase. The operating picture, architecture of earned reality. Let's look back at what we have woven in this 12-part foundational summary of Holophase model. Part 0, the white room. We stand at a threshold. Before us lies the most audacious project ever attempted, building reality from comparison alone. But we do not leap blindly. First, we build something else. Not a theory, but an architecture for theories. Not an answer, but a method for finding answers. Breathe. Look at what we have made. This is the complete operating system of disciplined understanding. The scaffolding to earn reality, not assume it. The immune system to keep truth alive for centuries. Let us begin at the true beginning. Close your eyes. Imagine not a room, but a condition, a state of no assumptions. What remains when every hypothetical is stripped away? One irreducible fact. We can notice differences. This is not philosophy. It is bedrock. Before things, before space, before time, we have this capacity. This is not that. Holophase names this minimal permission, phi. Not a particle, not a force, not a substance. A primitive comparability. The universe's capacity to differ from itself. The hum before the note. From this single thin thread, we will try to weave the entire tapestry. Why start here? Because this is the one foundation you cannot dispute. Every instrument, every measurement, every observation works on this principle, detecting difference. A needle moves, a screen changes, a signal deviates. Difference is the root of all claims. So we begin where honesty begins, with the one thing you can never escape, the ability to compare. Part 1. The Great Reversal. Civilization developed a habit. We spoke as if things existed first, and measurement merely revealed them. We smuggled in substances, containers, forces. Then we wondered why our understanding fractured. Holophase performs the great reversal. Measurement comes first. We do not measure things. We measure differences in readings. Only after do we interpret those differences as things. This pivot changes everything. It moves us from substance thinking to comparison thinking. The rule is hard and clear. If you cannot state a claim as a comparison operation, you cannot call it science. This is not cynicism. It is intellectual hygiene. It refuses to let language pretend it came before verification. It demands, show me the rope. What is compared to what? How? Under what conditions? With what uncertainty? What would break it? If you cannot answer, your sentence may be beautiful, but it is not public knowledge. This is the start of the Holophase method. Not a new equation, but a new order of trust. Reality is earned, not assumed. Part 2. Licensed windows. Measurement is not just looking. Looking is personal. Measurement is public. And public measurement needs conditions to keep comparison coherent, trustworthy. You know this instinctively. A kitchen scale works on a stable counter, not a roller coaster. A camera works in light, not in total darkness. What you know, Holophase formalizes. Comparisons are only valid inside licensed windows. A licensed window is any region of time, space, circumstance where coherence is high enough, where your estimates of change are bounded, reproducible, and auditable. Outside the window, the world is not unreal, but your reading becomes fog, and fog is where illusion grows. Think of a licensed window as the operating manual for truth-telling, like a microscope that works only within certain magnifications. These windows create the boundary between measurement and storytelling. They are not limits. They are the conditions that make knowledge possible. Here, we build our first tool, the comparator. Not a physical device, but a commitment. Before asking what is, we ask, how would we know? Before speaking of existence, we earn the right to speak. Part 3. A equals DeFi. Accepting comparison first science, we ask, what is the most primitive thing we can actually measure? Not a thing, a change, a difference. Holophase declares, A equals DeFi. Written, A is the differential of phi, meaning, we start not by assuming objects, but by measuring the smallest readable mark, how the world differs from itself. This is the first stroke in reality's language. Not, here is an electron, just, here is a change, here is a contrast. We do not touch reality directly. We touch where it leaves a trace. The trace is change. Information is born here. We shift from nouns to verbs, from being to becoming. The world is made of changes that can be compared. From this differential, this d-phi, everything must follow. Part 4. Try unity. Now comes a clarifying move. From the same change, d-phi, three inseparable readings emerge. Omega, the temporal cadence, the rhythm of change. Kappa, the spatial variation, the shape of change across location. Nu, the transport, the motion-like flow linking cadence and shape. These are not three separate things. There are three ways to read one underlying difference. Think of a melody. One melody, three descriptions. Its rhythm, its shape, its movement. Tri-unity refuses to split reality into containers called time, space, and motion. It insists. Real change must have interlocked cadence, shape, and transport. This is not metaphysics. It is a constraint. Holophase predicts. Any real phenomenon respects the interlock of omega, kappa, and nu. Falsifier. A stable phenomenon showing time without space, or motion without cadence, breaks triunity. Time is not a flowing river. Space is not an empty container. There are three shadows cast by one object. Change. Part 5. Infinite depth, finite access. Now we face infinity, as discipline, not poetry. Reality has endless descriptive depth. Every pattern of DeFi contains patterns of how it changes, and so on, forever. Mathematicians call this the infinite jet, J infinity phi. But Holophase confesses, we never see infinity. We see finite slices, J and phi, limited resolution, coherence-bounded windows. Our knowledge is partial by design, not a failure, but a structural truth about being an observer. This reframes mystery. Quantum uncertainty is not a universe flaw. Measurement limits are not just technological. Our horizon is not something we will overcome. These are signs of a deeper principle. Infinite depth, finite access. The universe has more structure than any finite observer can ever extract. This is honesty. Our view is always windowed, always partial. Holophase makes this operational. Prediction. Higher order structure improves prediction only up to a coherent ceiling. Falsifier. If higher derivatives always improve prediction without limit, the model is fitting fantasy. Humility is built into the method. We are not gods. We are finite beings at finite windows. Acknowledging this is the start of wisdom. Part 6. The knots. Now, a mathematical revelation. Phi is cyclic, like returning to the same point on a circle. When you go around and come back to the same state, something extraordinary happens. The total wrap must be a whole number of cycles, not approximately, exactly. This gives a simple, powerful statement. The closed-loop integral of d phi equals 2 pi times an integer n. Those integers are not imposed, they are forced by cyclic comparison. Mathematics demands whole numbers. So discreteness is not an assumption, it is a consequence. These integer wraps are knots in the fabric of comparability, topological defects, stable, countable structures emerging from a continuous field. This is how particle-like persistence appears from smoothness, how the universe learns to count. Holophase predicts, anything stable and particle-like must have integer properties. Falsifier, a stable system with a non-integer winding breaks the framework. From smoothness comes sharpness. From flow comes number. Part 7. Objects as knots. The next step is now inevitable. What we call objects are not bricks of substance added to space. They are persistent interruptions in phi's smooth comparability. Think of a knot in a rope. The knot is not extra rope. It is a stable obstruction that moves as a unit, keeps its identity, and cannot be smoothed away without cutting. Electrons, atoms, chairs, planets, in holophase, they are stable interruptions, topological defects. They persist because they are topological. They move because transport is real. Their identity comes from winding numbers that cannot be undone. Matter is not stuff. Matter is stable structure. This reframe dissolves centuries of substance thinking. No more little hard balls. No mysterious thingness. Instead, persistent patterns, recognizable configurations, stable knots. Holophase predicts, defects persist under transport and conserve topological charge. Falsifier, if objects can be erased by description change alone, they are artifacts, not entities. Objecthood becomes operational persistence. A knot, not a brick. Part 8. Energy as accounting. Now we shake a deep intuition. Energy is not a substance, not a mystical fluid, not cosmic currency. Energy is accounting, like a bank statement. Not money flowing through pipes, but a record of transactions, a tally of activity. Holophase declares, energy reports how much phi activity occurs in a licensed window. Conservation laws are bookkeeping rules, balanced mathematics. This demystifies power. No more energy flows. No more conservation as mystical decree. Instead, universal accounting. A perfect ledger that always balances because it must. The mathematics demands it. Think of a corporate balance sheet. The numbers represent real constraints, but there's no substance called profit flowing through pipes. The sheet shows relationships. Energy is reality's balance sheet. Holophase predicts, all energy measurements reduce to phase and gradient tallies. Falsifier, detecting energy as independent stuff refutes this. This shocks intuition. It removes a comforting object, but it replaces it with something honest, a ledger. A number that balances because reality's grammar requires balance. Part 9. Laws as survivors. The next conclusion is unavoidable. If energy is accounting and objects are knots, then physical laws are not commandments carved in cosmic stone. Laws are survivors. rules that remain standing after fragile rules are crushed by coherence constraints and prediction demands. Think of trying keys in a lock. Most don't fit. Some almost turn. One turns smoothly, reliably. That key is a law. Not because it was designed to fit, but because it survives the test of opening the lock. Holophase sees law discovery as evolutionary pressure on mathematics. Most possible equations are incoherent. Some are partially coherent. A few are coherent across domains. Those are our physical laws. They are not chosen. They are selected by reality's brutal consistency requirements. Holophase states, only governed grammars respecting topology, gauge invariance, uncertainty, and licensing can persist. Falsifier. If ungoverned equations consistently outperform governed ones everywhere, the principle collapses. Elegance is not aesthetic, it is a survival trait. The universe is not obeying laws, it is expressing the mathematics that can survive being a universe. Part 10. Meaning as recognition. Now, the deepest psychological shift, demystifying meaning itself. Meaning is not a spell, not an essence poured into matter. Meaning is predictive compression. A face detection algorithm doesn't believe in faces. It recognizes a pattern that helps predict what comes next. Human minds are sophisticated recognition engines. We label stable DeFi patterns because labels help us anticipate. Smoke means danger because it predicts fire. A smile means safety because it predicts friendly intent. Meaning emerges when recognition improves prediction. Consciousness is self-referential recognition. The system recognizing its own patterns. Holophase makes this operational. Prediction. Better recognizers, AI, alien minds, will see stable patterns we miss. Falsifier. Find object-like persistence with no stable DeFi signature, or stable signatures nothing can recognize. Meaning becomes disciplined. It must pay rent in predictive power. It fails in counterworlds where patterns don't hold. This reframes the hard problem of consciousness. Consciousness isn't a substance emerging from matter. It is a recognition process operating on patterns of comparability. The feel of redness is the recognition template for certain light patterns. Significance is operational, not mystical. Part 11. The Epistemic Firewall. We reach the civilizational crown. Even if the world is readable, knowledge can rot. Errors can spread. Beautiful falsehoods can masquerade as truth. So Holophase builds what science needs, as bodies need immunity. The Epistemic Firewall. Every scientific claim must become a knowledge object, with its own verification kit. Scope passport. Where does this work? Where does it fail? Uncertainty ID. What don't we know? Confidence bounds? Prediction contract. Specific, testable predictions. Falsification terms. What single observation breaks this? Counterworld controls. Where should this fail? Expiration date. When does this need re-evaluation? Revocation protocol. How is this withdrawn if falsified? Lineage tracking. What claims does this depend on? Audit artifacts. All data, code, methods for independent check. Truth must carry its own immune system. Knowledge must defend against its own errors. Holophase predicts. Firewalled knowledge survives centuries, even civilizational collapse, because future minds can rerun tests and see how the claim lives or dies. Falsifier. a non-firewalled regime matching firewall performance in false discovery control and reproducibility. The ethical core is simple: no claim without consequences, no truth without audit, no power without accountability. The firewall is not decoration, it is survival, civilization's immune system against intellectual infection. The complete architecture. Now, step back. See the whole structure in one breath. 1. Fee. Permission for difference. 2. Measurement first. Claims reduced to comparison. 3. Licensed windows. Valid only within coherence. 4. A equals D phi. We measure change, not things. 5. Tri-unity. Omega, kappa, nu. 3 readings of one change. 6. Finite access. Infinite depth. Windowed view. 7. Topological integers. Whole numbers from continuity. 8. Objects as knots. Persistent interruptions. 9. Energy as accounting. Ledger, not fluid. 10. Laws as survivors. Grammars that persist. 11. Meaning as recognition. Predictive compression. 12. Epistemic Firewall. Truth's immune system. This is not just another theory. It is a framework for when frameworks are allowed, a quality control system for understanding, a method before results. We build scaffolding for reality, sturdy, transparent, flexible. The ultimate test. The entire architecture makes one overriding falsifiable prediction. Every scientifically meaningful statement can be translated into statements about licensed comparisons of phi patterns. Not related to, translated into, operationally. If we find any scientific fact that cannot, in principle, be expressed this way, the framework fails. This is the falsification condition. Not maybe it feels wrong, but here is a phenomenon that defies phi-based description. This separates holophase from speculation. We offer a translation manual between reality and comparison. The promise. If this holds, what do we gain? Unified understanding, one framework from quantum to cosmic, coherence across scales. Self-correcting science, errors caught early by built-in tests. Long-lasting knowledge, claims that teach their own verification, inheritable across millennia. Built-in ethics, power through unverifiable claims becomes impossible. Meaningful foundation, we start from what we experience, comparison. And the deeper promise, the end of fragmentation, healing the rift between scientific and humanistic understanding. One world, one grammar. The humility. We might be wrong, spectacularly. If so, the firewall ensures we fail cleanly. We will know where, why, and how. Falsification terms trigger. Revocation protocol executes. The knowledge graph heals. This clean failure clause is itself an advance. Most frameworks fail messily, patched into unrecognizable shapes. Holophase builds its own funeral instructions. To build a framework with instructions for its own demise, this is intellectual courage. The opposite of dogma. We do not seek to be right. We seek to fail informatively if we are wrong. Are you ready? The question is before you, not as a student, but as a practitioner. Pure phi cosmogenesis, deriving reality from comparison alone, will demand everything. Every licensed window, every comparison discipline, every firewall protection, every ounce of courage. 13 episodes of disciplined derivation. No shortcuts. Step after license step. We will either build the universe from phi or discover where phi isn't enough. Both outcomes honor reality. Both serve truth. So I ask you, are you ready to earn reality? Not assume it, not believe in it. Earn it. Through comparison, through verification, through the courageous willingness to be wrong. If your answer is yes, if you will think in verbs, demand verification kits, become part of truth's immune system, then you are ready. The weaving is complete. The method is alive. What to carry? Carry these essentials forward. 1. Reality is earned, not assumed. 2. We measure changes, not things. 3. Time, space, motion are 3 readings of 1 change. 4. Our view is always partial. 5. Numbers emerge from wrapping. 6. Objects are persistent patterns. 7. Energy is accounting. 8. Laws are survivors. 9. Meaning is prediction. 10. Truth must carry its verification kit. And the ultimate carrying? The universe is knowable, but only if we build knowing that can withstand knowing itself. The beginning. We end where we began, with difference. The only certainty, we can notice differences. From that thread, we will try to weave reality. Not because we are certain we can, but because we are certain we must try. The alternative, beautiful, fragmented confusion, is no longer acceptable. Civilization deserves better. Reality deserves better. Truth deserves better. The operating picture is complete. The architecture stands. The method is alive. Now, we earn reality. The framework is complete. The method is alive. Now, we earn reality. Let us begin purify cosmogenesis. The next comparison awaits. The first step is yours. Notice a difference. Then build a universe from it. Always peace be upon you.